Reggie Swift, welcome to the program. Thank you so much for joining us.
Man, thank you for having me, man. I look forward to this conversation.
It's great to be talking with you. You and I've had some great conversations in the past about diversity in clinical trials, among other topics. But let's focus on that one right now. First off, though, I want to go a little bit of a personal aside. I'm not trying to go Barbara Walters on you here, but you and I've talked in the past, and I've read some stuff from you about how your father has impacted your career path or your goals here. Talk a little bit about that.
Absolutely. And when I think about it's not just really about just him, right? It's really about what the mission is as for people just like him and people in my family. I look at how, from his passing, that has transformed me, right? And it transformed me into a person of my purpose.
There's also an element too with your dad, maybe in the early days in his health journey, and as his condition worsened, that you sort of noticed that maybe he wasn't being offered the clinical trial options that maybe he would have been if he was white, say.
Where our focus was narrow. We didn't know what the other elements were around the spectrum, around healthcare spectrum. And I realize now many other Hispanic, Black, Asian, Native American families are looking at it in the same vein that I did at that time, right? 2004. So we're talking about 18 years ago, right? So that was, my unveiling as to why I created this business, to make sure that we uncover these things for these types of families, right? Not just as options, but more so as pathways for these families, so that they don't have to go through these types of information gaps, ever again, right? So it's really helping uncover innovation for these communities,
right?
Okay. That is our purpose, to help uncover those innovations for those communities.
All right, let me ask you a big two-part question here. First is an obvious question, but it's important to address. Why is it important to promote diversity in clinical trials? But second off, what will success look like to you, if you're looking 5 years from now?
I'm glad that you're asking this. And many people will have closely to the same answer as I will. But as far as like diversity, why it's important to have diversity, right? And we look at genetic anomalies, we look at genetic differences that we all share, even though we're all human, right? We're on one race, we're all human. Wherever we are in the world, we have a specific precondition or predilection to specific areas, right? To specific environments. So we respond differently to certain aspects of illnesses and conditions than others would in other areas as well. So I think it's important for us to realize that diversity isn't just about, hey, we need to have an understanding on how differentiated our genetic predispositions are, so we can respond to medications or respond to specific, cancer and diseases, but understanding from an element that we need to understand how the body reacts, right? Globally, we need to understand how the body reacts. And if we only have one specific types of element in the trial, meaning, Caucasian derived, individuals, then how do we actually understand how for Alzheimer's that we are looking at the same targets that we should be for Hispanics or African Americans or Native Americans, right? When we don't have that type of data ourselves. To the second part of the question, right? What do I look at as success in 5 years? I see success as saying we don't have initiatives just to target health equity. It's just health. We're seeing everybody targeted because everybody is at the table. Whenever there's a new launch on a specific therapy, it's because they're now taking insights from all slices of life, right? And realizing that to optimize health is to be able to, take that type of diverse insight and being able to practice it into your own R&D, right? Practice that into your own research, practice that into your own capacity building, right? Internally and externally.
That's fantastic. And I love how you talk too about, sort of clinical trials treating the human race. The patient is the human race. no matter the color or anything, any of that. It's the human race, which is a great way to look at it. I also want to talk to you. You and I have had conversations in the past, and you use an interesting word in the context of diversity and clinical trials, when that word is catechism. And I'd love you to talk a little bit about what that means to you.
Sure. And now for those who aren't familiar with catechism, it is an elemental, it's like being able to do like a business plan for your life, right? Or for anything else that's a part of your interaction in daily societal habits, right? For me, and I look at like Marcus Aurelius and the Stoicism and how he actually, he became a conqueror, but yet he practices a moderation, right? Understanding. Oh, you have the book. Yep.
That's right.
I love that book.
There you go. Yeah, absolutely.
So
Sorry.
I think about how we have to condition ourselves as to what impacts are we trying to make for humans, for life, right? For society. So whenever we think about, so when I use the word catechism, I think about what are the three elemental elements or the elemental methods or the elemental questions that I need to ask myself when I am engaging in business, where my mission is driving towards. Why am I driving it? Where am I driving it to? Who am I driving it with? And what's going to be that outcome, right, for all of us to see at the end of it.
I want to thank you so much for joining us, Reggie. This is great, and I'm so happy that we bonded over this book and Marcus Aurelius Meditations. Excellent stuff. So good to talk to you. Your enthusiasm is contagious, and hopefully this conversation will help inspire others as well. So again, thank you so much for joining us today.
Man, likewise. And I hope that infectiousness of enthusiasm really resonates to everyone who listens.